Hi everyone, Steve Crosby here. Welcome to this edition of Monday Morning Musings. And in this edition, we're going to get into some data about the Inquisition. It is admitted by scholars and historians that the first 50 years or so is not very well documented to the detail that I'm about to get to. There is documentation, but in the first 50 years, scholars agree generally that there were about 30 trials a year. Now get that. Not 1,000, not 10,000, not 100,000, not 300,000, 30 a year. That is hardly a rampaging crowd of maniacal Catholics going from house to house, dragging people out to burn them. And then from about late 15th century to late 17th century, the documentation is much better. Because remember, this was a judicial process to try to give people due process and give their hearing. And because this is a court process, what do courts have? They have court clerks. And there are actual clerks who are taking verbatim notes of every trial. And guess what, folks? Those notes are available. Researchers, scholars, honest researchers, not Protestant propagandists, but honest researchers can go to the Vatican and actually review the transcripts of these trials. And in that time period, do you know how many transcripts they have? 44,674. Say 45,000. Not 100,000, not 120, not 300,000. In that period, late 15th to late early 17th century, 45,000 trials. And of the 45,000 trials, 826 were a capital decree of death. 826. That's 1.8%. And not all of those were being burned at the stake. There were other miserable and horrible ways of killing people, which they did. My point is, remember how we started this series? I'm not advocating this, but how about some honesty? How about some humility and not inflating these numbers to try to score a point against somebody with a religious conviction different than yours? It's not right. 2%, 1.8%. So when you read all these hysterical reports, and I'm talking even in some perhaps credible institutions, sometimes they just have a anti-Christian bias. Anti-Christian bias exists up there. And so for, the Crusades, I want to talk about the Crusades. I can't get into the Crusades today, but I tell you what, they're not what you've been told. Are they the shining high point of virtue of the church? No, they're an abysmal, sordid, horrible chapter of organized Christian, absurd, disgusting behavior. But still not what you've been told. There's some backstory that you haven't been told. I just use that as an example. There are entities out there that just hate Christianity. So if there's this much truth, they're going to blow it up like this to make it look worse than it really was. And it's the same thing with the Inquisition. It is used by propagandists as a tool to illegitimately discredit an opponent in a doctrinal fight. And it's not right. It's dishonest and it's dishonoring to the Lord. Again, don't think I'm endorsing the behavior. I'm not. But what I am advocating for is accuracy, honesty, and humility, not propaganda masquerading as history. I'll see you the next time.